We're all aware that brands are themselves becoming media owners. Why are they doing that? What's in it for them? And how do they leverage their own networks and others to increase that engagement? To talk to us about that, please welcome the Director of Thomas Cook Media and Partnerships, Stuart Adamson.
Thanks, Mike. I'm painfully aware I'm standing between you and a beer, so I'm going to make sure that this is quick and painless. But thank you very much for having me. Just a bit of introduction on me. I am the director of the director of Thomas Cook Group's Media and Partnerships division. I manage our partnership teams across 16 source markets in Europe and China, and our teams are responsible for working with any sort of tourism organisation or a supplier, or all of our supplier base, with regards to marketing or marketing contributions, as we call them, that they give us. Now, my background's actually a publisher, so I worked for Haymarket for many years, both in London and across Asia Pacific. So actually, what I did when I joined Thomas Cook 6 years ago was come and actually bring that sort of publisher mindset to what is effectively an enormous brand and an enormous retailer who doesn't have a publisher mindset at all. So I just thought I'd give you a little insight into our journey. So Thomas Cook himself launched Thomas Cook Limited back then in 1841, when he took a group of people on a train journey from Leicester in the UK to Loughborough in the UK, a journey that took about 2 or 3 hours then, probably takes about 15 minutes today. And he chartered the whole train and sold tickets for it. And as a result of that, he is said to be the inventor of travel. So this was the original package holiday, and it was actually to a temperance meeting, so a completely alcohol-free meeting, much unlike our all-inclusive holidays these days. These days, this brand is absolutely enormous. So when you translate that into the actual reach that we have now across platforms, we have over 12 million unique users across our online websites, mainly nearly all e-commerce websites across Europe. We have 40 million people, a footfall of 40 million a year, that walk through over 3,000 stores across Europe. We have 12,000 agents in our call centers and in those stores that convert those consumers into customers. We have 11 million plus data-rich profiles in our databases. Over 16.5 million people fly in what is now nearly 99 aircraft. I think it's come up since then. And we get about 19 million customers who actually go on holiday with us every year. And so when I joined Thomas Cook, I looked at those numbers and I looked at other different platforms, and all I could see was just a media owner waiting to happen. When you look at the size of that reach, and the reach it takes to convert 19 million customers, you know, having come from a publishing background and seen the numbers that we often work with, and the fact that there was a whole advertising business, a media business sitting there, I could see that Thomas Cook weren't really capitalizing on this at all. And there was an opportunity there for us to really join this up and make this happen. And then also, when you look at those numbers and the data behind those numbers, there was a huge opportunity for us to be monetizing that data for our partners. But one of the challenges with a big business like that is it's a FTSE 250 business. There's 20,000 staff in it. It's got £9 billion turnover. And those 20,000 staff are fully focused on selling holidays. The last thing they want to do is start putting advertising on the website and things like that. And also, just with different markets and different divisions and different P&Ls, very difficult to start joining it up in order to get people facing in the same direction. So we had to basically bring in a whole transformation program and create change, and change equals fear. So that again created resistance. But gradually over time we managed to persuade people that it was okay. We brought in a governance model that made them feel comfortable with what we were doing. And we managed to break down a lot of those silos and actually align the teams across markets. We started virtually at first, and then pretty quickly when they saw the results, we were able to actually start creating it into a proper team and then grow it from there. So where we needed to be was effectively a unified, innovative multi-channel offering for our partners. We knew that was important. we had to be given these integrated multi-market campaigns. It wasn't just across channels, it was across channels, across markets. And then also making sure that we weren't just doing what everyone else was doing, but was leapfrogging what was already happening, because we had to make our media more attractive than most of the external media that is out there on offer, be it outdoor or in print. So we started online because we had to get the buy-in to start with, and so we started online. And after a while, I realized that actually we were struggling a bit online. So we were doing fine selling advertising onto the sites, but we weren't really going to the next level. And one of the big reasons for that, certainly when we were dealing with brands, was timing. So people would often come onto our websites in January and February and book their family holiday then. That's our peak period. But they weren't actually buying sun cream until sort of May or June, or just shortly before they went on holiday, and there was no reason for them to come back to our site. So actually, if we were going to advertise sun cream, then we needed to be doing it in May and June, and it was hard to get those people again, even though we knew they were going on holiday. The other big thing was creativity. So we have e-commerce sites, right? And I don't know if well, there's lots of people here who do work in e-commerce with subscriptions and things. We mustn't disrupt the journey. We're told constantly we can't disrupt that journey. We can't stop people. We're trying to get to minimum clicks to it, and as soon as you start popping up big advertising, you lose the room as far as the business is concerned. So we couldn't be that creative for our partners. We were having to sort of do standard units and that sort of thing, and still do on our e-commerce sites generally. And then the big thing was volume as well. So as we looked at certain destinations, the inventory would obviously shrink, and the more we segmented those destinations and the more we opened up that data, it meant that we were struggling to get decent size inventory away. And this was about 6 years ago. So it must have been about 2010, 2011. And it was a kind of eureka moment back then. And this was way before programmatic trading desks and things had really taken off. And actually, that was when we launched ours. So just even as Amnet hadn't even put theirs in at that point, we were putting in our trading desk. So we put in a whole DMP, a whole DSP, and actually started to capture data on all those people and started to monetize across the web, which solved the timing issue because we could reach people in May who'd booked in June, solved the creativity issue because we could start doing creative opportunities, but on other people's websites, but targeted to our audiences, and then also solved the inventory issue because suddenly we had all the inventory across the web. And the key with our data is that every single one of those people that enters our world tells us where they want to go, when they want to go, who they want to go with, what star rating hotel they want to stay in, whether they want a beach holiday, a cruise holiday, a skiing holiday, and at scale, right? And they also tell us how much they want to spend. So we capture all that data. We don't release it out. We don't give it out into the exchanges or anything like that. We lock it down. It's our first-party data, but we enrich all of our partnerships with it. One of the keys with data is that the minute it's ubiquitous, the minute it starts to lose its value, and also recency is key. The fresher the data, we know the more powerful it is in getting it to work. So the first thing we did was introduce that trading desk, and suddenly that took our business to another level. But also, we are obviously a multi-platform media owner. We're not just an online one. And so for us also, the stores was hugely important. Having 3,000 locations, 3,000 high streets across Europe, that gives us one of the biggest out-of-home travel networks in the whole of Europe. So we had to think about how we were going to really bring that data-rich environment to our stores for our partners. And actually, in recent development, we've launched a product called Thomas Cook High Street, which takes all of that online data, and it allows us to reach our customers or people who've interacted with us in the high street. If they're in-app, then we've geo-fenced our stores, so it allows us to actually reach them while they're in a coffee shop across the road from one of our stores and actually target them sequential targeting or tailored targeting to what they're doing, and then bring them into store for whatever offer we know that they might be interested in. And this has been hugely successful. I was a bit skeptical, is this actually going to send people in store? But what we're seeing is for about every 27 million impressions that we're delivering, about 1,000 people are walking in store. So it's an incredible success for us. The other thing was really about how do we modernize our stores often, and the business, naturally as a big retailer can often be cash strapped, and so we have to be very careful where we spend the money. But actually by working with our partners, we were able to actually equip our stores with screens, and so now we have one of the, if not the biggest travel out-of-home network in Europe. In the UK, these screens have a camera on them, and they tell us when somebody walks in the store, Then when they start looking at the screen, it counts how long they're looking at the screen, and then it scans their face and tells us if they're male or female and how old they are. What that does is it allows us to start tailoring content to those people depending on when they're coming in to the store. So we might find mums are coming in at sort of 3:30 in the afternoon with their kids, so we might show family holidays at that point. And then empty nesters are coming in the morning, so we might show cruise holidays at that point. Right? It also allows us to iterate, try content, test, see what's working. And on average, I mean, we have posters in all our stores anyway, but we're seeing about, and brochures, but we're seeing about a 13-second average video view on all the videos that we put into these stores. Just an example of how we haven't taken just, it's the digital world, it's how do we take the digital world to an offline, what would you normally call an offline world, but we don't. The other big thing that we've launched this year is a inspirational content platform. So we've actually moved into publishing. So having had all those e-commerce sites and all those retail outlets, we also have a lot of brochures. We print over 15 million brochures. But there was nothing really sitting there for the top of the funnel stuff, apart from when a customer comes in and talks to an agent about where should I go? Tell me, what's new? Where should I go? And so actually it's been crying out with the volume of partnerships that we're doing for us to actually have an inspirational content platform. And in 1841, actually in 1841, before Thomas Cook took that train journey, he was actually a printer. And so in 1851, he launched a magazine called the Excursionist Advertiser, which is the oldest travel magazine in the world. And he eventually ended up publishing that in 10 different countries in 6 different languages. And then we stopped publishing it in 1939. We've just relaunched it, but built for a digital age. So we're still working on the digital platform, but we've launched the print product, which is here, and it's been hugely popular, hugely successful, and is now inspiring people in over, I think, 1.4 million estimated readership across Europe this year. The other big platform for us is social. I'm not going to go too much into that because we've heard a lot about social today, but it's a hugely engaged audience for us. Again, it's not necessarily a retail environment, but it's an inspirational environment. And we gamify, and we've got a hugely engaged audience, and it allows us to really educate people about destinations or hotels or partners that we're working with. And actually, having broken down all those silos, put all that technology in, we've actually created a huge multi-channel offering that we now deliver from partners, which goes onto social, it goes into screens in store, it involves agent training, it's digital targeting online, it's content, it's video, it's images, it's in-flight media, and then also a full communications strategy underneath that. So whenever we build a partnership, we try and make sure that we get it multi-channel and enriched with all that data. So one of the challenges we had that we were thrown, can't go backwards there. So one of the challenges we were thrown is that when I talked about those brochures, we have 15 million brochures, and they actually are monetized. So actually all of our hotel partners give us marketing contributions to those brochures. But the reality is people are using brochures less and less. They're also quite a heavy cost base. And as publishers, I think we all know the need to move print revenues to online or wherever we may, or protect them anyway. So we were thrown the challenge of how do we decouple the revenue from the brochures in order that we can then give us the flexibility around how many brochures we publish and sustainability and all those other issues. But the challenge for us was we couldn't just shift it online, A, because it's hard, B, because we've tried it a little bit and it didn't really work. We've got a contracting force who aren't very digitally savvy. Dealing with hoteliers who really aren't digitally savvy. The hotels that we deal with, they're Sun and Beach hotels, sort of one or two owners who have probably, made it rich on an olive farm or something and bought a hotel. So they're not sort of your standard, Marriott or Hilton marketeer. So we had to really try and find something that was really going to work for us. In addition, we had Expedia and TripAdvisor and these guys who are very robust e-commerce sponsored listing solutions and things. And so for us, we had to play to our strengths, and our strengths is multi-platform and data and brand. So we launched a platform called Hotel Everywhere, and what that allowed us to do was give it a beautiful name and package that we could go to a hotelier with. And what Hotel Everywhere does is it takes a single hotel, and then it finds the customers that are most likely to buy that hotel, and then it pushes that hotel out simultaneously across multiple platforms. So onto online, across the web, on news and travel websites, into e-commerce sponsored listings on our own sites, into Facebook as sponsored listings and sponsored posts, onto our in-store screens, so actually it's a tech stack that delivers into the high street, onto the agent booking platforms and intranets, and then manually, obviously, we have them in a brochure if they're still in that brochure set. But what that allows us to do is to decouple the contributions from the print product, and then over time we can shift any one of those out and back in again, but obviously it gives us the flexibility around the brochures. And the key for us was actually making sure that that's multi-channel, because our competitors, Expedia and those guys, they have those robust e-commerce sponsored listing solutions, but they don't have stores. So for us, it allowed us to play to our strengths, as I said. So one of the challenges with this is we actually do that promotion for over 2,500 hotels across 9 markets. So you start to see the scale of how we had to do this across those channels. You suddenly realize that, with 2,500 hotels, 9 markets, 6 channels, and it's 6 channels in each of those markets. How do you physically do this? From both campaign creation through to campaign creative sign-off with a partner, through to delivery, then through to reporting, and then invoicing and cash collection. So actually, we needed a super robust tech stack. And that's what we built with Google. We actually managed to hack DFP and DoubleClick for advertisers. So actually, the two are seamless. Normally, you can't. But we've managed to actually get them to help us build that. And now that's moving into their own product strategy. And what that allows us to do is follow a user wherever they go. If they're on our site and then they go off our site and then back again, then actually we can follow that user wherever we go and make sure that we're sequentially targeting. So it allows us to put these hotels in front of the right people at the right time, but at scale. And that was a huge piece of work because we had to create that tech stack, had to basically allow us to integrate with legacy systems. So we've got contracting systems, invoicing systems, and then through to actually account management, campaign management, all that creation, and then actually out to deliver from stores, screen stores into Facebook and everything else, all powered with all that data. The beauty of that platform now is that having put that volume of hotels and campaigns through it, when it's now managing all of our partnerships, is that Google have actually given us access to all their audience network data. We were the first non-media agency in Europe to have access, in EMEA to have that access, and now we're in their beta for actually using their search data as well. So we take their search data and their audience data and then overlay that with our own first-party data on people's travel preferences. We've really got something quite powerful here, and we're really seeing the success. But as I said, it was very hard to get our contractors. We had to train them, the people who sign on with the hotels and the hoteliers, to really understand what this was, because they're not digitally savvy. You talk to them about data and platforms and content, they start to glaze over. So that's why we had to create something very easy for them to understand, and then go through a whole training program with them. And this is a big contracting force in different countries and in different languages. But so initially, what we did was just create a video for them to really make it really simple for them to understand. And this was the video that we created for them.
At Thomas Cook, we put our 22 million customers at the heart of everything we do. That's why we've been selling holidays for over 175 years. Times have changed. From when brochures were our customers' main source of inspiration, today they search our websites, talk to us on Facebook, watch our content, speak to our agents, and interact with screens in store. So the way we market hotels has changed significantly too. That's why we've built Hotel Everywhere, our new cutting-edge hotel marketing platform. Hotel Everywhere captures data on every single customer that enters our world. They tell us where they want to travel, when they want to go, who they're traveling with, and what board basis or star rating they're looking for. Hotel Everywhere uses this data and the latest smart Google technology to put your hotel in front of your customers wherever they are. So, whether it's search listings on our websites, posts on Facebook, advertising in travel content, in-store screen deals, agent promotions, or in a brochure, Hotel Everywhere finds the right customer and puts your hotel right in front of them at the right time. Hotel Everywhere turns potential customers into real customers of your hotel. For Thomas Cook's partners, your marketing contributions are now managed through Hotel Everywhere, giving your hotel the best chance of a booking. Talk to us about Hotel Everywhere today and take your hotel to the next level. Welcome to Hotel Everywhere.
So, hello. So one of the key things there was the fait accompli. So what we did was we decided early on, that we weren't going to offer this as an either or. It's not going to be brochures or Hotel Everywhere. You can choose. We don't market one-channel brochure marketing anymore. We market multi-channel because it's 2018, not 1985. So that allowed us then to actually just tell them, we don't do that. You're now in the platform, and then upsell. So it meant that instantly, and some we didn't upsell too hard because we didn't want to, we just needed to transition them because once they were in it, then it allowed us to show the results. So very quickly on those, because I know I'm out of time, or getting there, we saw a huge increase in supplier funding. So this actually was an overall revenue base that was slightly declining, and we've saw a 22% increase in marketing contributions. We've seen 31% more online bookings for hotels who've got the Hotel Everywhere campaign than they were getting previously. So across the board, whether it's increasing the revenues that we get from them or their bookings, it's been a huge revenue driver for us. And obviously some very happy hoteliers on the back of that. And so what's next for us? Obviously, as we go, each of these things has leaped the business as we've gone. We now have a full-service creative and content agency now doing big advertising and branding strategy for destinations and content, video and things for hotels, as well as a full-service research and insights division, which is now managing or is using using all the data that Thomas Cook has, as well as our sort of 30 or so in-house market research specialists to actually to offer full research services to our partners. And with that, I thank you very much for listening to me. That is the end.
Will you take a quick question if there is one?
Sure, if you've got time. Yeah.
So I know the bar is shortly going to open, but it won't open until I officially announce it, so you're quite safe. If you have a question, raise your hand. Yeah, and one down here. I think a familiar questioner, not a first-time caller.
Thanks, Stu. Very interesting presentation. Just wanted to know what your insight is on being a media business within a non-media company. Has there been tension there as you develop the business? Because we see a lot of non-media players coming into the media space now. I'm just interested to know how easy it was to actually get that going.
It was very, very hard, I've got to say. But it takes a lot of, you've just got to, it takes a lot of political lobbying, you've got to get round and change, and you've got to force it. But once you start getting the momentum and you start proving it with the numbers, then actually it starts to get a lot easier. But yeah, and the key is really senior buy-in. I was very lucky to get the buy-in of Peter Fankhauser, who is our CEO now, and he's been hugely supportive of it. And, and the reality for these businesses is it generates a huge amount of cash for them. We're a seasonal business, so we have cash flows, that are up and down, but actually with a media business within the business, you generate a huge amount of excess cash pretty quickly and regularly.
Okay. One more at the back there. We could make it relatively brief. Thank you.
How big is your media team, and are you treated as a profit center, or you're just an expense?
No, we are a profit center, and we are about 60 people big. We're a big profit center.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And can I ask you now, please, to thank Stuart? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.